It is remarkable that there are more than 2,000 children, and it's still not clear because we can't get the answers. If they even know where they all are, if they know who their parents are, the fact that Laura was pointing out in the judge wrote there, we keep better track, and I'm paraphrasing here, of things that we take from people when they go to the jail. Okay, so we've got a watch from this guy and, a little black book, and yet we don't know where children are.
We take better track of property than migrant children. And that's six people. This issue has been top headlines, president forced to backtrack. In all this time we've been discussing this, only 6 kids have been reunified. It is a combination of callousness and chaos and incompetence. And the idea that it's going to be able to turn on a dime because of this judge's order probably doesn't meet reality. But the human cost of this callousness and incompetence is massive.
It's hard to imagine that it's just incompetence here. It's hard to imagine that it's not a combination of incompetence and will. If they wanted to reunite the children with the parents, you would think they could. And when I talk about will, when I talk about intention, one of the reasons you do question the intention is because of comments from the likes of the Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, who was speaking to a group, and he made a joke, an actual joke about the separation of children from their parents. Listen.
The rhetoric we hear from the other side on this issue, as on many others, has become radicalized. We hear views on television today that are on the lunatic fringe, frankly. And what is perhaps more galling is the hypocrisy. These same people live in gated communities, many of them, and are featured at events where you have to have an ID to even come in and hear them speak. They like the little security around themselves. And if you try to scale the fence, believe me, they'll be even too happy to have you arrested and separated from your children.
It seemed like that joke was actually written for him, which is interesting in and of itself, David. Sorry.
And also, I mean, how moronic is the comparison? Some people live in a gated community, so they shouldn't care about migrant children? Yeah. I mean, what? It just doesn't even make any sense.
John, to your point, though, about will and not just incompetence, the president himself has been a little all over the place since he issued that executive order, right? I mean, he issued it. He then went to a rally in Minnesota where that was not something he really touted. He gave it a one-line mention. What he really was touting is being tough on the border. Then there was reporting over the weekend in the New York Times that he regretted it. Then he had to come out and say, no, I didn't regret it. So this has not been one of Donald Trump's actions that he then, after he holds up the thing and shows it to everyone, that he's out there touting every single day. So that gives some credence to your notion that will is at play here.
But even worse, he's actually said that he thinks this issue is a political winner, in addition to whitewashing it and sort of, getting whiplash from the flip-flops on the issue. The fact that the Attorney General's remarks were scripted, and you could see they're scripted, also highlights the degree to which it's a question of will and callousness as well as incompetence.
And I think it also speaks to the planning here, right? So we've talked so much about, there's no communications director. The president's his own communications director. He's getting his message out there. Listen, I think we can make the case that is likely a message that President Trump wanted out there that we're hearing from Attorney General Jeff Sessions.
If they're on speaking terms today.
If they are today.
That is a fair point.
One bit of reporting here, our Sunland Sarfati reports she was pressing HHS officials last night to see whether they are still receiving children as part of the separation policy. And the officials she talked to would not answer the question. Sunland told us that they aggressively dodged and ignored the question about whether they are still separating children. So I guess we don't even know whether or not more children are being added, not subtracted, added to that list of 2,047.
Should be an easy yes or no, shouldn't it?
It should be an easy yes or no. More than 6 reunited with their families should be easier than it's been as well. Jeffrey Toobin, John Avalon, of course, David Chalian, thanks very much.